Story tonight, the arrest of a retired homicide detective may be helping solve a Jacksonville cold case, but it's also bringing other cases into question on this Friday, those that the detective worked on while with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. He's accused in a brutal 1999 murder. On Your Side's Troy Kless spoke with an attorney about the potential fallout. Troy is joining us live tonight with more. Troy.
Thank you, Anthony. Well, the attorney says that he expects many people to file a post-conviction appeal. Now, typically in most cases, you would have up to 2 years to file that appeal. But if new evidence like a detective being arrested and charged with murder surfaces, that window opens back up no matter how many years have passed by.
DNA evidence leading to an arrest in a cold case. JSO says former detective William Baer is charged with the murder of Saad Kawaf. Police say Kawaf was beaten and stabbed outside of his Deerwood home in May 1999. Kawaf's wife was tied up during the incident, but she bit her attacker, now identified as the woman married to Baer at the time. That critical evidence leads to Baer's arrest. Attorney Joe Hamrick says this means a wave of appeals could be coming.
I think there will be likely many compelling post-conviction motions brought. Former Detective Baer had a long career with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and was involved in many important investigations.
Our news partners, the Florida Times-Union, report Baer testified to a grand jury investigating police corruption in 2003. Hamrick says Baer's arrest could be considered exculpatory evidence, which may strengthen a defendant's claim of innocence or weaken the prosecution of a case.
Had they known that this critical witness against them had allegedly committed a homicide, and they could have used that against him to try to impeach him.
Baer retired from JSO 3 years after Kawaf's death. Hamrick says he is reviewing his client's cases to see if Baer was involved in any way.
Any case where former Detective Baer was the lead or critical witness, who is the only person who claims to have seen the crime committed or some critical piece of evidence, where if he was lying, that we have a genuine risk that an innocent person is serving a lengthy prison sentence.
Law enforcement sources tell First Coast News that they believe that Baer was watching Kawaf's home as part of an investigation. Now, right now, Baer has been booked into the Duval County Jail. He is facing a murder and armed robbery charge. Now, according to documents that we've gone through, it appears that both Baer and his then wife stole $30,000 from Kawaf's home at the time of the murder. We're live at JSO tonight. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side.
Troy, thank you. And our Katie Jeffries has featured this case in her Emmy Award-winning series Unsolved. If you would like to watch that story and the other cases Katie has featured, you can watch them anytime on our website, firstcoastnews.com.